will be putting together a raised bed container and decided to purchase soil and compost. Do you have any recommendations on brand, type, etc. I should purchase? There's so many options. I'm a bit overwhelmed. Okay, so awesome decision. So Deborah, this is really great. So whenever you're feeling behind in gardening, it's really great to just go out and do the easiest thing that you can to start moving forward. So I highly recommend, if you're a beginning gardener and you're kind of stuck at the point of putting together your first bed, you're not sure if you're going to double dig it or how good your soil is or all these different questions. If it's your first step and you're stuck, by all means, go out, purchase soil and compost, and get moving, and it's really going to be helpful. So I'm going to walk you through a new bed that I created, and then show you a couple things that are available at my store and the way that I choose my soil and my compost. And you may or may not have the same brands, because this is going to depend on where you are. These are things that are heavy, so the people don't like to transport these very far across country. So it's usually, each part of the country usually has different brands. Okay, so recently I put in a third box out back, and I used untreated wood. I used two 2x12 boards, and basically the long sides are 6 feet long, the short sides are 3 feet long. And I had the store do all the cutting, so I didn't have to do any cutting. And then I went and I got some 3.5-inch long deck screws, and I screwed the boards together. And then I bought garden soil. And I bought, for this 3 foot by 6 foot bed, I calculated that I needed 12 cubic feet of garden soil and about 4 cubic feet of compost. So when I went to the store, I grabbed garden soil, and I thought I had a picture of this at the store. So what I wish I could show you, but I forgot to take a picture of the packaging. The reason why I picked this garden soil is that it is organic, and it has what's called an OMRI listing on it. And I'll show you what that looks like in just a minute. And the OMRI listing is, it's a not-for-profit that is international. It may only be Canada and the United States, maybe North America right now. But what they do is they review the ingredients in all these bagged products, and if they can call the product organic from organic sources, then they list it as an OMRI listing. So that OMRI listing is a good indicator that you're getting something of pretty good quality. It's oftentimes a little bit more expensive. That's because you have good quality ingredients. So each one of these bags that you see on the screen was 4 cubic feet, and so I got 3 of these essentially. Is that right? 4 cubic feet? I think they were 4 cubic feet. But I got 3 of them to put in for my first layer. And then I had at home 4 cubic feet of homemade compost, and so I used that. I'll talk about compost in just a second. I added a little bit of rock dust because I had it available, and I added some worm castings, and I mixed it all together with a digging fork essentially, and then I basically transplanted into it and I watered it in. Now, what did I look for at the store? Okay, so my topsoil. I had 2 choices. I had the choice of that this garden soil, and then I had topsoil. Now, topsoil is exactly what it should be, exactly that. Whenever a bag says topsoil, basically what it is somewhere they had a construction project and they had to dig up the topsoil and they didn't reuse it, so they bagged it and then they basically shipped it out. And this particular bag, the ingredients, it says that there is, besides native topsoil, it says there's also peat, forest products, compost, ash, and sand in it. So keep in mind that sometimes a bag that says topsoil includes other things beyond topsoil. But when a bag says topsoil, it should include soil. And you do want some soil if you're like this bed and you're connected to the ground. It's open to the bottom and you're just going to dump soil in it. Then you want something that does have topsoil in it. So this garden soil that I bought was essentially similar to this topsoil in that it had some topsoil in it, but it also had some, similar to this other bag, it also had some peat in it, and it had some other organic material, some compost in it as well. So between the two bags, because the garden, there was two things. The garden soil came in a bigger bag, so I only needed a couple of them. What I also noticed is that there was a little hole in the bag, and I could actually feel the texture of the two. And what I noticed was this garden soil was a little lighter weight, meaning that it had a little less topsoil and a little bit more organic matter in it. And I liked that because I was in California where it's going to get hot and dry. And so the lighter weight soil is going to hold some more moisture for me. So that's what I chose because of where I am. So if I didn't have this garden soil option available, and I only had available this bag of topsoil, which did not have the OMRI listing on it, what I might do is contact the manufacturer, and oftentimes they have an address or usually they have a phone number, and I would just contact them and ask them where it came from. I would see if I could open up a bag, or if a bag was already open at the store, that's the best way, because you don't want to open the store's bag, but be able to look at it in my hand a little bit, just to see if it's dense or if it's more lightweight, just to kind of get a sense. And at a certain point, you do have to trust a little bit with some of these bag soils, unfortunately. So if you go to your store and you take some photos of the different bags, I can also help you that way. So if you say, okay, I'm down to these two bags, and then here's the ingredients on this bag, and here's the ingredients on this bag, here's what they look like, I can help guide you a little bit that way as well. So the other option besides bagged topsoil is going to a farmer if you can. If you have a farmer's market and a farmer is close by, and asking them if you can get some of their topsoil, and ask them for how much you need. Typically, they like to know cubic feet or cubic yards of soil that you need, and you might have to offer to go pick it up. But if you can find an organic farmer that you trust, then you know exactly what's in the soil, and that's ideal because obviously it's always great to know exactly what's in our soil. So with these bagged soils, you never know, and it's most times you're not going to have an issue, but every once in a while people do have issues with these bags. So first off, look for that OMRI listing. What does that look like? These are 2 bags of compost. So I mentioned earlier that I was going to share some images of some potting mixes and some seed starting mixes as well. So I'm going to show a couple different bags here. Where I am, I love this bag of Amend. It has the OMRI listing. And what I love about this Amend, well, I'll show you, I think I have the ingredients somewhere. Well, so I'll tell you what I don't like about Nature's Care, this bag that says really good compost. Nowhere on it does it have the OMRI listing. It also is under the brand, you'll see a little logo on the side of the bag, it's under the brand Miracle Grow, which, you know, if you know of a brand having one product that may not be what you want, their other products are a little bit suspect. Now this one, it says really good compost, and so then you turn it over, and it says ingredients, compost, and it says where it was formulated from these different things, from yard waste, from manure, from mushroom compost, from food waste compost, and then it says a certified product of Mulch and Soil Council. So that looks like a certification, that looks good, but it doesn't have an OMRI listing, which means one thing to me. So it says that there is manure in here, and it's possible that the OMRI board doesn't know where that manure is coming from, and there might be the possibility of pesticides or herbicides in that manure, so it doesn't get the OMRI listing. So if I had to pick between these 2 bags, I would pick the OMRI listed bag. It's going to be safer in the long run. So that's something to look for. This bag looks similar to that really good compost. It's green, has similar words on it, but it does have the OMRI listing. So take a look for that listing when you're buying compost. If you're buying bagged compost, Sometimes you'll have municipal compost. The city will be creating compost. If that's the case, then you want to ask them lots of questions about their organic practices. Do they use any materials, where do their yard clippings come from? How do they ensure that those yard clippings haven't used any pesticides or herbicides? Ask them about all those different sources that they get, and if you can't get a good answer from them, then you may want to find a bagged product that you can trust a little bit more. All right, so sometimes you'll see things like planting mix. And again, you have the OMRI listing on here. So I like this brand, Dr. Earth, a lot. I also like Fox Farm. For those of you who live in an area where they sell Fox Farm, I don't have pictures of that one, but I've used that quite a bit, and I love that brand. So if you have a brand name that you want me to check out, just let me know and I can look it up online. So this question's for Deborah, right? So Deborah, if you go to the store and you see the brands that are available to you, you can always send me an email what those brands are, and I can let you know what I think of them. So what I love about this brand, Dr. Earth, is that they list their ingredients. It's amazing ingredients. They have this broad spectrum of great organic materials like sawdust, bark, peat moss, alfalfa meal, fishbone meal, bone meal, feather meal, kelp meal. These are all like the full range of organic materials that are going to give you lots of spectrum of nutrients. And then it also has mycorrhizae, which is this fungi that we need, our undergrowth, our web of fungi that grow. And it actually lists the beneficial soil microbes and mycorrhizae that they have tested in their bags. That these are the things that they have found under a microscope in their bags. So I really like this brand because they tell you what's in the bag in a way that's really exciting. And they have lots of different products. They have all-purpose potting soil. And what you'll notice is that in their potting soil, they have the same stuff. So for the question about the seedlings, the Tithonia, here we go, the Tithonia torchlight seedling. So you can, when you go to fill your new pot with mix, you can use a couple of different things. I would recommend seed starting mix over potting mix because it's really going to still improve your root structure, which is what you're trying to work on. So seed starting mixes often have peat in them, and you already have some peat, so you could just use potting mix as well and know that the peat is there already. So either way, you should be good with potting mix or seed starting mix. And then you could, something like this potting soil, if you look at this, it has an assortment of awesome materials in it as well. It has all those same things. It has, the fur and the, I'm trying to read this, the fur and the fishbone meal and the bone meal and the feather meal and the kelp meal, all that good stuff, and the soil microbes. So your plant is getting big enough, that Tithonia torchlight is getting big enough that some of these beneficial bacteria included are going to be a good thing. Most potting mixes don't have any of that stuff. They just have a couple of ingredients. They have peat, they have sometimes compost, and they have perlite, and they're really lightweight. This lists exactly what's in that bit of compost. So I really like this bag in particular. Let's see. And I circled perlite because perlite is something that's in your potting soil to keep it light. That's the difference between their potting mix and their seed starting mix or their garden mix is really just this perlite. So that's the only difference that they have in their potting mix. Okay. Now, products that I avoid. So this particular potting mix, what I'm not a fan of on this particular potting mix is when you look at the ingredients, it has perlite, fertilizer, and wetting agent. And so when I look at that ingredient, I say, okay, what's the fertilizer? And then I look below, and it says derived from ammonium nitrate, ammonium phosphate, calcium phosphate, potassium sulfate. So those are all the organic elements, but it doesn't actually tell you where they came from or how they're even in the bag. And oftentimes when they're in these basic forms like this versus mixed in with all of the other organic material, what's missing here is all of those soil bacteria and fungi that are going to actually help your plants be stronger. So I prefer not to get a potting mix that lists, quote, fertilizers. I would much rather see a bag that lists things like kelp meal and bone meal and all the individual ingredients that go into it. So I stay away from things like this. It also doesn't have the OMRI listing. It's not organic. When you look at this bag, it never says it's organic. All right. And just to prove that, you know, every manufacturer has different arms to their business, this is also a Miracle-Gro product, but it's an organic potting mix, and they list where their compost comes from. However, what's interesting is that this particular bag that says it's organic does not get the OMRI listing. And when I look at this particular one and I'm looking to see why it might not get the organic listing, I'm looking to see which of the products might. It's because there is included organic fertilizer, and that might be why. Meat meal. It might, no, I know what it is. It's because it includes poultry litter, and it's probably that if they can't tell you where that poultry litter is coming from and what that poultry is eating, then they can't tell you that it's organic. So, doesn't get an OMRI listing. Probably that's why. And then just to show you seed starting mix, this is a particular seed starting mix. It's a huge bag of it. And generally when you look at a seed starting mix, what you see in seed starting mix, remember, is peat moss, perlite, and in this particular seed starting mix, that's pretty much all the ingredients. And the reason is that peat moss is really good for root growth, and then perlite keeps it lightweight. So that's what you could use for that Tithonium torchlight, but I think it's old enough now that it could handle something a little bit more robust. And I would give it something like this potting mix that has some other ingredients, if you can find it. But if you can't find it, by all means, use a potting mix or seed starting mix. Okay, so I hope that helps, and I know that this is a topic that gets a lot of people caught up because you go to the store and you're not sure what's in the bag, and it's hard to figure out. Okay, cool. And Tricia says, I love and always recommend Kelloggs. Their products have never let me down. If it has the OMRI listing and says dairy manure, does that mean that no pesticides, herbicides, antibiotics, or just no pesticides, herbicides? I don't know about the antibiotics. It's a good question. That would be awesome to find out that answer, Tricia. I love that you're asking that question. I haven't asked that question, actually. So I'm one of those people, it's pretty interesting. My sister, she had multiple chemical sensitivity for a long time and was really affected by pesticides and herbicides to the point where her vision was blurred, her speech was slurred, and she healed herself through fresh, raw vegetables and fruit. So even though I'm 100% aware of all the issues related to food, sometimes I forget about the antibiotics question, which is just as important. So thanks for raising that.
If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to leave a like and share your thoughts in the comments below. We'd love to hear from you. And for more simple and practical gardening tips, subscribe to Grow Your Own Vegetables. For more tips and updates, visit gyov.org and join our growing community.